Death battles that pissed me off.
Death Battle is a channel I used to watch religiously ever since I first came across it on YouTube. I mean, some of the pairings they would have on this channel were everything to me growing up. They were class. Fights like Sonic vs. Mario, Crash vs. Spyro, Dante vs. Bayonetta, Goku vs. Superman, and even some peculiar ones
the fights
that just make little to no sense. Like Justin Bieber.
I've gotten so much better over the years just on an animation perspective.
But the point is that these type of fights Death Battle would produce was something just mad entertaining all the time. I mean, seeing some of your favorite characters spar against one another with analysis on both sides giving context and a victor being decided by the end of it was just amazing to watch, and just brings a bunch of people together who share common interest in said characters. It's community building. Like,
we all do it anyway.
Their latest video with Ceph vs. Metal Sonic is a top 10 masterpiece for their channel. I swear to God, it was fire, man. My GOAT Neo Metal finally getting some respect. He won that shit from the moment he appeared right here, and then as soon as he said this,
Lifeform beta successfully copied.
it was up for sale. But with all the fights Death Battle have made to keep us guessing on who's gonna win, I
don't know about that one. I mean, I don't know much about Metal Sonic. Apparently in the comics or whatever, he's nice, but over Cell, I don't know. You gotta show me the facts.
Deep dives into abilities and powers, and even showing us some shit that we've never seen before. Let's just cut to it. They be bullshit when it comes to certain fights, man. Whether there's a contradiction in what they say or what certain characters can really do, undermining abilities to make others seem weak, or just blatantly giving out arse pulls so they can end the fights early and make it look terrible. Which I can kind of understand, because with this animation, that's gonna cost a fortune, man. Guys are broke out here. Death Battle have their fair share of bullshit fights and accurate claims. I mean, at the end of the day, all of their fights are up for interpretation anyway, because you can't really compare two guys from two completely different worlds and make them scrap. It's not finna make sense anyway. Like right here, why is SpongeBob fighting Aquaman? What could possibly be the scenario behind this? Did he go to the chop bucket or something? That's crazy. And today, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to give my
The scenario is I'm a fan and I put them against each other. That's the scenario. Fight.
An opinion on some fights I think from Death Battle are stupid. I love you guys though, man. So without wasting any more time, let's get into my first pick of the fights. Beginning with... Now, Knuckles versus Donkey Kong gotta be one of the best fights on here when it comes to the animation.
I forgot about this one. I watched
this evil, cursed-looking DK model, Lord, they made the guy look like a demon. Why are his arms so long?
I don't remember what happened though.
Music and sound effects of this fight definitely put it up there. Reminds me of peak television I used to watch back in the day, like Super Mario Bros. Z, or the Final Fantasy Sonic game I used to play. Bro, I love the 2D sprite animations. They're fire. And to me personally, with this Death Battle, the analysis and verdict of this video, it's some bullshit. I'm not gonna try and undermine DK's potential and abilities to come out on top here. The guy is very agile, can throw punches at crazy speeds, and even punched the whole moon down to Kong Island to finesse some Tiki Monster, which is hella impressive and sparks up a debate between who's stronger between him and Knuckles. He's also an A-class R&B singer too, so I think that contributes to it. But once I tell you this one thing about Knuckles, he's also an A-class R&B.
This is the goofiest. Bro, DK in this show or whatever it was, I didn't watch it while it was running, but I seen some clips. This is the goofiest DK variant of all time, bro. This DK is hilarious, and he's ugly.
Singer too, so I think that contributes to it. But once I tell you this one thing about Knuckles, you look at it differently, man, believe me. Knuckles is stated to be as strong as Sonic is fast. Do you have any idea what that flipping means? Do you know what that entails? It means he's Bolo, fam. Sonic is a top 10 speedster in fiction, and I'm not even counting Archie Sonic, who absolutely dog walks like 9% of the Mario world. His video game version alone is fast enough to be a part of this. He could time travel with his speed in Sonic CD, blitz through land in less than 2.5 seconds, and cleared an entire battalion of robots by just running through them. He's sending guys flying with the way he runs. So with Sonic already being presented as a fast guy, if Knuckles is comparable in the strength department, how is he not stronger than Donkey Kong? I've only
stated by who though and where, because context does matter, right? If it's stated by like a random character, it could be counted as like hearsay or just like exaggeration, like say Tails said it. But if it's stated in some type of data book or something like that, well, even if Tails said it, it could be true. It could be the author speaking through characters. They do that sometimes, but I gotta see the context. I ain't gonna
seen
lie.
Donkey Kong have 1 feet before Bonanza, and that was just when he punched the moon. Meanwhile, when Knuckles was a kid, he knocked Sonic out of his super form. He punched the guy out of his own Super Saiyan form. And I've seen other people bring this up and debate the point, saying at this moment in his career, Sonic was still getting used to being in his super form and using the Chaos Emeralds. He was still a rookie when it came down to using them. Hence why Knuckles was easily able to knock him out of it by just jumping. But that shouldn't take away from the fact that he knocked out what literally shown to be invincible. You can't damage Sonic characters when they're in their super form. They're invulnerable. He's invincible. But Knuckles did it anyway, and he was a lot younger back then doing that shit. That feat alone, whether you want to count it or not, is enough for us to say Knuckles got it like that. He's tough. I guess you could say he's rougher than the rest of them. I'm so funny, man. And there's still so much to bring up. Donkey Kong is primarily a powerhouse, the muscle, the tank. He may be agile, but he's really not going to be as agile comparable to other Mario characters, like the plumber himself, who can jump like crazy. But Knuckles, for his small size, can beat the shit out of you, sending you flying like your Team Rocket. Ignite his giant punching glove hands on fire, and he's fast enough to definitely run circles around DK and beat him up with speed alone. The man keeps up with Sonic on a daily basis. He's got to get points for that. They even show you a little bit of how fast Knuckles is by him dodging all these coconuts right here as if he was in the Matrix, which is proving that he's got a good reaction time. And when he was digging around DK, punching him like Spider-Man did to Thanos in Infinity War, Donkey Kong is too slow to react to it. They're showing you the man's capabilities. It would have been over if they counted speed as a deciding factor as much as power was the main deciding factor. Power here was primarily the main factor of who was going to win the fight. It's clear enough to see that. Look how aggressive the bangs these men are throwing at each other are. Going crazy here. Yet at the same time, speed should have contributed a lot more here too. Even in their analysis, they brought up Jungle Beat, in where DK was punching at supersonic speeds too. But they didn't want to apply that as much here as they stated in their breakdown. And you can't have Knuckles weave it like he's doing the Dempsey roll and then proceed to let him get slammed like he did nothing. Like, I genuinely can't tell you how disrespected I felt when I saw Knuckles go out like this. You mean to tell me DK just swatted him like he was a fly, like he was nothing? Knuckles didn't even do nothing here. He just accepted his fate and got boomed. But he could literally glide out of this predicament. How does this even make sense? The coconuts hold this guy, man. Where did the last one come from? That's some bullshit. Looking back at this fight though, I just think they undermined Knuckles' abilities and just solely went off who's presumably stronger. And they kind of ran with the whole punching the moon thing from Donkey Kong Country as their main strength point. They even decided to compare that to a time in Sonic X where Knuckles punched the moon and only a small part of it exploded. They must have been on some bias shit thinking just because DK punched the whole moon that he's definitely stronger than Knuckles. Like, no man, what type of crap is this? Something I've seen other people also do for this case is bring up Super Knuckles. And even though, yes, I agree that Super Knuckles would absolutely kill DK and take his life, in the fight, they were only in their base forms, so it doesn't even matter. I mean, what forms did DK have when they made the video anyway? Strong Kong. Get that shit out of here, man. I do think though, if they decided to revisit this fight, it would be a lot more interesting. With the recent release of DK Bonanza, which shows off DK's new animal forms, like turning into a big ass gorilla who's kind of caked up and can send shockwaves or punches out, a zebra who can run over water and can run head first into things. Like, bitch, DK has a snake form.
They already horsed Knuckles in part 1. What you want to run it back when DK is stronger and has more variants and forms?
Can stop time. He's using chaos control. So to see a fight between DK's new forms and Super Knuckles or even Hyper Knuckles, that would be mad entertaining.
Oh, okay.
But for what it's worth, I just think the fight wasn't scaled as accurate as it could have been. With Knuckles being one of Sonic's former rivals, going toe to toe against him should have been enough for them to at least think about that. Donkey Kong is strong, but I don't think he's stronger than Knuckles. Okay, Sonic characters are basically just animal versions of Dragon Ball Z characters. You're really saying a big gorilla could beat the echidna version of Piccolo? Okay, that's a bad comparison. But my point is, banana slammer. Before this fight even came out, I thought this was about to be one of the best matches I've ever seen. I mean, Ben 10 and Green Lantern, they have potential. Ben with his giant library of different aliens that were always just hyped to see, like Heat Blast, Accelerate, Diamond Head, and the MVP Alien X, and then Hal Jordan's Green Lantern, one of the coldest characters in the Justice League. A man who can imagine and make anything from nothing with the power of his Green Lantern ring fueled by willpower. These two would have had a generational fight. It could have been amazing. Then come to its release, and the scrap between these two, it was just mid, man. When it came down to these two going toe to toe against one another, it's like they purposely made these two look so weak fighting each other.
This was
with Ben, don't get it
pure
twisted.
rage,
I like how they kept his cocky behavior and him chatting a bunch of shit to Hal. They caused personality right. But when it came to his use of the Omnitrix and breaking into his most overpowered form, Alien X, The guy didn't do shit, man. How is it that with Alien X jumping this guy in his force field, it took Green Lantern charging his ring with the lantern to just be able to shockwave all of the Alien X's out of there? They're not shadow clones. They shouldn't be disappearing like that. It doesn't make sense. They're their own versions of the same alien. It's like making two of yourself. That's how it is. And throughout...
Brother, Alien X is so broken. If I'm not mistaken, someone correct me. Alien X can... I'm pretty sure he can think of you. I think he can think of you vanishing and you vanish or something like that. He can like get rid of you. He can wipe you off the face of the planet with a thought or something like that. Brother, he's not just beating Green Lantern. He's beating Goku. He's beating, I was about to say Saitama. Saitama would find a way to win because Saitama is a gag character and his gag is win no matter what. That's basically Saitama's gag. So he not being Saitama either. That's crazy.
The entire segment, Alien X was whooping him, topping the guy. In fact, the whole fight was pretty much just Ben giving Hal the business the whole time. He was running the fade with the guy, while Green Lantern was out here just trying to defend all his moves. This guy's a bitch. Green Lantern throughout the fight just looked weak. Even Death Battle didn't want to help him beat those allegations. This man is always getting a humiliation ritual everywhere. But somehow, due to bullshit, they want to give him the win. And how, you may ask? How did Hal, even though he was getting flung around like Shadow did to Knuckles in Sonic 3, how did he beat Alien X? Simple. He gets the biggest arse pull and cuts Ben's arm off with green scissors. Get out of here, man.
This man's Omnitrix has a fail-safe, so that wouldn't happen. He would have turned into Alien X right then and there and got out of that. Like, what?
This is where Death Battle made a major critical error in their decision. Because in the beginning of the fight, Hal couldn't just go ahead and grab the Omnitrix off Ben due to it having some sort of defense mechanism. Nobody can just yak the watch off the guy, not even when he's sleeping. Otherwise, it releases a sort of energy blast that protects the user. They even show you that in the beginning of the fight. But then in the end, how does Hal, time traveling back to the moment they met, help him carve Ben's arm with scissors? When it just wouldn't be able to do that? Was the AI sleeping or something? This is why I hate robots. The defense mechanism designed into the Omnitrix would have either done the whole energy blast that happens when someone tries to touch the Omnitrix again, or it would instantaneously switch him into an alien that would protect him from any threat that is being perceived, like Goop or Diamond Head, or the greatest alien on his roster, the worst. Yes, it's actually called that. In Death Battle's own words, they even brought up the fact that to survive the Big Bang, the watch turned Ben into feedback so he could absorb the energy. And now when it comes to the fight, you want to go back on your word and change your minds later on. What the hell are we doing here? You can't just introduce one thing and then go back on it later. That's not how it works. In Green Lantern's case, he only won because of a cheap shot anyway. He was getting finessed by Alien X the entire time, then went back in time and cut Ben's arm off, with also stopping him to death. He killed a kid. That's crazy. When really and truly, what would have happened is I'm 99% sure a multiversal alien god being who duplicated the universe unconsciously would maybe, I don't know, follow you into the time stream and kill you before you do that shit. Surely that would have happened, right? It's not like he wouldn't know you would pull the exact same move as him right after he did that shit to you. Green Lantern even said thanks for the idea before doing it, showing him that he was gonna do that shit. What? Let me tell you something, Death Battle. I'm not playing these games. Ben Tennyson is the same teen who flipping absorbed the Big Bang and show it against another man, beat another celestial sapient in combat, and can later on in his adult life fuse aliens together, creating combinations that are just disgusting to even talk about. He literally has a fusion between Atomics, an alien that possesses nuclear energy, and Alien X. I don't know what type of crossbreeding this is, but the potential that alien has is sick. I'm not saying that Ben should have 1,000,000% had the win. Knowing comic book superheroes in general, Green Lantern most definitely has a bunch of stupid feats that...
That's a good point, but I'm here to tell you, I don't care what stupid feats he has. He's not beating Alien X. He's just not.
Would undeniably make him overpowered, but it's the way they decided to undermine and underestimate Ben's capabilities to the point where they wanted to paint him as weaker, but Ben was objectively winning. I'm confused. I'm confused right now, G. They even said Ben is playing catch up because of having Master Control, which is false, because Master Control brings instantaneous switching. It's like Boogie Woogie. It will change instantly to whatever alien is on his mind in the moment. So there's infinite potential what he could do to Hal and how he could change scenarios. Whereas with Green Lantern, he'd have to imagine up his constructs in the first place, which takes more time to decide and brain power than what it takes for Ben to switch aliens. They played this fight out as if Ben was the decided winner to begin with. They put Power on the defensive 99% of the time, then give him a win by the end of it when there was no chance of him winning at all throughout the whole fight.
What?
It doesn't make any sense. Why even play out like this? You should have just let Ben get finesse if that's how you really felt. Honestly, it's just like the fight was wasted. You put two characters who could have had the chance to have one of the coldest one-on-ones in fiction, and the way you want the guy to win was by a cheap shot. You could have had Hal pull some multiversal comic bullshit, and people would have been more satisfied with that outcome than by what you actually chose. You made them both look like chumps. I don't even want to stay on this one for too long because it's genuinely heartbreaking. Ben should have won, man. You know you're wrong for this. I swear to God, you man can just tell me the truth, you know. You're sponsored by the Frieza Force, aren't you? Because this fight was just rigged, man. I know Frieza wrote this script as well. You can come out now. I see you, man. I see you in the back. Now, at the time of when I decided to go and watch the fight on YouTube, I'll be completely 110% honest there. I didn't know shit when it came to this fight, man. I'll be real. I mean this as if when it came down to the invisible part of the analysis, I've only watched the animated series. I haven't read the comics in particular to understand their whole argument for Omni-Man's case. So it's not something I could necessarily disagree with at the time.
I'll tell you right now, I haven't watched the show. I got homies that watch the show. They told me about the strength level, and you can just see it off of clips, right? You can see where these characters scale, so to speak, off of clips. They're not touching Big Bardock, big brother. They're not touching Saiyans. I'm sorry, they're just not.
But
Shout
in
out to
my
the Viltrumite
heart, in
though.
my soul, in my core, I knew there was something wrong with this fight. And to no surprise, there actually is a couple of things. They brought up that Omni-Man was able to destroy Viltrum by speed blitzing through its core. But forgot to mention, it wasn't just Omni-Man who did that. Mark helped him alongside another Viltrumite. And another guy before that used a destabilizing gun to make the whole thing even possible. Otherwise, they would have just rammed into it and broken their whole entire body like some dickhead. And the craziest thing about this feat is that they purposely didn't want to acknowledge it took 3 guys to do the job. They moved like Omni-Man was the only person capable of destroying Viltrum. And the feat they decided to compare that to was giving Bardock equal scaling to King Vegeta, a man who easily destroyed a solar system with the flick of the wrist. But then it took 3 guys and a gun to do what a fraction of what King Vegeta could do easily. It doesn't add up here. The second thing I want to bring up, which is my biggest takeaway on this fight, is Super Saiyan Bardock. How did Super Saiyan Bardock lose?
Did have him go Super
understand
Saiyan.
the power levels of Dragon Ball Z characters. If Roshi with a power level of near 100 can destroy the moon, Piccolo easily doing the same with a power level barely over 1,000, and you mean to tell me Bardock in his base has a power level of 10k, and Super Saiyan raises those stats 50 times higher, meaning his power level here was at least 500k. How is he not clearing the man in the end? I can understand how Bardock is an inexperienced Super Saiyan, which means his power is definitely draining quicker than it should be, but that shouldn't take away from the boost he would get, giving him the significant advantage. Super Saiyan Bardock is at least planetary with power on par to first form Frieza.
Omni-Man should have been out of there in 2, maybe 3 combos max.
Who destroyed the whole of planet Vegeta with a supernova. And like I stated before, Omni-Man was barely able to destroy a planet by himself. That's weak! If we're comparing Viltrumites to Saiyans in general, guys, remember something. Saiyans will be sent to different planets as babies to take over and conquer, whereas Viltrumites will be expanding their empire by sending over older, crusty-ass 1,000-year-old people to do the job for them. It's like it takes one kid Saiyan to do what a grown-ass Viltrumite could do. Do I believe that Viltrumite could take over a planet at a much younger age? Yeah, but they haven't proceeded to show that, so it doesn't count here. And something I noticed when watching Invincible is that Viltrumites get popped easy. Maybe the strength gap between them is so strong that their durability doesn't really apply as much anymore. But when Viltrumites literally fight one another, they pop out their entire guts. You can see their whole stomach spill out, splitting their heads in half like they're nothing, pummeling them like they were never that strong to begin with. And to compare, I've never seen a Saiyan take the same amount of damage. Never. Not even if their strength gap between them was insane. The most they would come out with might be that they're hella wounded, bleeding, or lost a limb. It's never their whole body getting disfigured and done out. So with this durability in mind, how can Omni-Man do so much more damage to Bardock than Bardock could do to him? Involving Ki in the conversation too, Saiyans naturally have a high destructive power. They finesse others and each other with just Ki blasts alone. Now you're saying Omni-Man can just deflect all of that like it was nothing, and even just throw away Super Saiyan Bardock's one-on blast attack like it wouldn't do any damage to him anyway. What? I'm not even bringing up how he used Grey Ape in the fight, which is more than enough to even take out Omni-Man. Grey Ape Bardock would have stomped him. He has a power level of like 100k. What is this? And it's not like like Bardock is a berserker grey ape and can't control the form. He can control it as it's shown in the Dragon Ball Super manga when he's looking for granola. So he's not just a mindless brute. The fight just wasn't scaled properly to meet up with all of Bardock's capabilities. They kind of just gave Omni-Man the edge for no reason, saying he's faster, stronger, has something called smart items, which I'm not gonna go into because I don't know shit about that, and even stated themselves that they won't look at Omni-Man destroying a planet with help properly. So was this thing biased or something? They admitted it right here. Like I said before, I don't really have that much information on Viltrumite to begin with. I read up somewhere that the solar disc feat that they tried to bring up was some bullshit as well, because it's not comparable to a Viltrumite or something. But I know Dragon Ball, and Bardock should have scaled way higher than what Death Battle 4 he could do. They undermined him once again to give Omni-Man the win. I ain't trusting this. They gave Homelander the power to make Omni-Man bleed, knowing damn well nobody from the boys universe could ever do that shit, let alone the Milkman. So I knew this take on Bardock was a little
would not be nowhere near as big as it was if they got
some of the strongest people in comics and fiction. It was always to me. If I had to rank them, Kryptonians at the 1, Saiyans at the 2, recently Viltrumites at the 3, and whatever the hell Homelander is at 4. It's like this shows you the gaps between one another and lets you know who would debatably be more powerful in the moment. At least that's how I viewed it. And this fight was just a little underwhelming. I think the concept to it was sick, but when it came down to bringing up facts, it was kind of one-sided. Bardock should have won, man. I'm not tripping. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to bring up the last death battle that hurt my soul when I watched it. Something that makes me itch. Something that didn't sit right with me and gets me angry every time I think about it. And the evidence I even got to back up my claims here will show you that is just some bullshit, man. And the final fight for this video is... Now this fight, hands down, is the biggest piece of dog shit I've ever seen on this channel, man. It's not real. I'm a huge Sonic fan, so before I even get into this, you may be asking, is this take about to be hella biased with me glazing Sonic for the next couple minutes and telling you why he smokes this plumber easily? Hello, bro.
You gotta understand though, also, Mario is type gag too, you know what I'm saying? He's a pretty gaggy character. All pause intended. He's a pretty gaggy character. Mario has done so many different things. He has so many different feats that it's crazy, right? Anything they want Mario to do, he can do it. They just gotta write it. I'm gonna be honest. He's not really a character that's bound and chained down to like certain things.
But in all honesty, I'm actually just gonna tell you what I think went wrong here without seeming like I'm just being one-sided. I know Mario and Sonic have a bunch of feats individually that make them both busted, overpowered characters. But what I think is the first problem with this matchup is simply, and I like to call it, the speedster problem, which affects any speedster fighting a non-speedster that is dumb. One of my first videos on this channel was about this stupid thing. But to sum it up quickly for you, man, so I don't waste too much time on it, when a speedster fights a non-speedster, unless the non-speedster has reality-bending powers, magic, or just has a way to counter the speedster that makes sense, or he's actually a speedster himself, there is no way a speedster should lose. It doesn't make sense. By the basis of what people with super speed can do compared to a room full of people who don't have the same ability, they should dog walk everyone in there. That's the whole idea behind this type of power. They're so fast, no one can perceive them that quickly, and that they can literally destroy their opponents in under 5 seconds. It's what makes someone with super speed practically unbeatable. So when applying this logic to the Mario vs Sonic debate, why wasn't Sonic running circles against Mario here? Now I know they said in their breakdown.
That's a good point, though. Hold on. What do you do when Mario has a star, though? I mean, it runs out. I guess you would run in circles until it runs out, but he's not running in circles. He's just boxing right here. But I don't know all the variants, like I don't know what this Sonic is capable of. So
Sonic debate. Why wasn't Sonic running circles against Mario here? Now I know they said in their breakdown that Mario has a fast enough reaction time to be able to counter Sonic's speed with him turning into lightning and using something called the Star Diver. But that means by this logic that they're trying to say that Mario is fast enough to keep up with Sonic then. Are we stupid or something? No! Mario may...
Hold on though. Because if we go off the Mario and Sonic Olympic Games, that 100-yard dash told me different. The 100-yard dash had Mario in the back. Us, winner. You know what I'm saying?
Be fast, but Sonic was fast enough to restore time and space after the time he had destroyed it.
If Mario wasn't canonically able to keep up with Sonic, Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games would have never came to be. These are the facts. These are the facts.
in a black hole for a minute and even escaped the null space, which is a place they said was inescapable. He was fast enough to break through the void. How can Mario compare to that? Like I said earlier with my Knuckles versus Donkey Kong case, Sonic has immeasurable speed. He moves faster than the speed of light, is faster than most enemies can react to. He defeated a super hyper-dimensional being who warped reality on his ones, by the way, and you're telling me Mario can keep up with this? Even
all those feats, but he, he's still lining up for a 100-meter dash with the plumbers. That's what I'm saying. Like when you got something like that, that's so like the Olympic Games is so damning to Sonic's speed argument. That's just tough. I'm sorry.
Mario fans would tell you Mario is not keeping up with Sonic. It's a lie! Death Battle said in their video, and I quote, that Sonic has never used his time stop ability in the main canon before. Which is true, but I don't doubt that him using them to time travel in Sonic 06 and using a fake one to teleport out of a near-death experience in SA2, I'm saying that he'd probably be able to figure out anyway. He got it like that. They said they wouldn't base their primary analysis off the movies and it would be mainly focused on the games, and then proceed to pull out a strength feat from the Sonic OVA. You were capping! And yo, remember when I brought up DK's Moon Punch, sending it to Kong Island? Yeah, they said because of that Mario's comparable to Dark Gaia. Dark Gaia! Dark Gaia! The same thing that Ross collided Earth into pieces and created a bunch of energy monsters. This monstrosity! What was the logic? What was the thinking process behind this random fight they got? It was an arse pool! There's so much wrong with this fight that it doesn't even matter anymore. Like,
has
oh
Mario
God.
ever got the one-on-one bare knuckle with Donkey Kong?
Cap Mario. You guys have any idea how busted Hypersonic is? It's like Supersonic on steroids. Whatever Super could do, just imagine that tenfold and you get Hyper. And to basically do nothing with the form besides take out Mario's cat clones and throw barrages at the guy is ludicrous. And then all it took for Mario to win was to throw Sonic at the water and he exploded. The water killed him, man, not Mario. What was this? Listen, if we're just being real here, this fight would end with Sonic finessing Mario in under 5 seconds. That's what would most likely happen. I don't see Mario as someone who really is conventionally as fast to counter Sonic at all. The only other time I've seen Mario actually move bare fast, besides the other 2 examples Death Battle gave, was when he was speeding down to punch Charizard. He was hungry to run that fade, man. I'm not disputing Mario ain't got it like that either. He has a multitude of power-ups and beat up a planet-sized Bowser. So it's not like I don't believe in his capabilities. But compared to Sonic, who breaks through time, beats up gods on the weekend like it's nothing, restored time, breaks through spaces that don't even exist, and can even solo a being who's warped reality, how does Sonic not come out on top here? Mario fans, you tell me how that makes sense, because as a guy who's been playing Mario as long as I have, I just know it's still some bullshit. Honestly though, like I said with Knuckles and DK, I do think this fight would be mad interesting to revisit as well, with the new forms they've gained over the years. But this is basically the video game equivalent of Goku versus Superman, and they yet again undermined a character's abilities to make the other guy win. They keep downplaying the man then. But this, man, I don't have that much knowledge on Mario compared to Sonic, but I'd love to hear some more takes on why some people think Mario winning was deserved. Because from my perspective, this shit was hella dumb, man. It's ass. And this brings me to the end of the video. Look, I want to first say that
I'm just gonna say Mario is like clear, like, you know what I'm saying, like I don't, like I said, I don't remember. I watched it, obviously. I don't remember it though, so I was just going off the clips I was looking at in the video that he put. It looked like Mario was in his star form for a long time, and he's literally impenetrable in the star form, to the point where if he's in that star form and he runs at like enemies, he literally kills them. So I mean, I don't know what Sonic got to counteract that, but also I'm not the hugest Sonic fan. And then I said, and like I said, the Olympic Games deads a lot of Sonic arguments. I'll just say that. No